everyone, and welcome to BookTrib's 15 Minutes with, a Merrill Moss Media production. Today, we are thrilled to welcome New York Times and USA Today bestselling author Shayla Black. Shayla's written everything from erotic to contemporary, paranormal, historical romance, you name it. And her series include Wicked Lovers, Masters of Menage, Sexy Capers, and a bunch of others, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, as well as a number of standalones. And on sale right now is her latest novella, From a Thousand and Dark Nights, Dirty Wicked, which is part of the Wicked Lovers series. Welcome, Shayla. It's so great to talk to you today.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. All right, we want to know what's going on with Wicked Lovers. So can you bring us up to speed a little bit and what's going on in this latest novella?
It's interesting. I've had a couple of conversations with some longtime Wicked Lovers readers who are very much like, but you left Nick hanging. Like, we met him and he seemed so awesome and I loved his funny t-shirts, and then you left him hanging. And so I was like, I always had this plan in mind, but I never just quite got there, and everything was just busy. So finally I was like, oh, hey, I have this novella and it's perfect. And I married it up with this plot I'd had in my head for years. And I was like, I so want to write this book. I just don't know who it belongs to and what to do with it. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's perfect. It works. It's awesome. So I finally got to write about a character I wanted to write for a long time, along with a plot that I wanted to write for a long time. And I got to bring back his funny t-shirts. So I was super happy.
I love it. That's so great. So can the Wicked Lover series be read separately as standalones? Can people pick them up as they choose? Or has it really been put together as to be read beginning to end?
No, it's actually the plots themselves and the relationships between all the characters, or between the heroes and heroines. You can totally read those as standalones.
Okay.
I'll always be referencing other Wicked Lovers because, they're like a whole family for me. And it's like having this little made-up family in my head, which is so much fun to be with.
Right.
But I think if you want to fully understand every secondary character in every book, then you should read in order. But otherwise, they can be read as standalones, and you'll completely understand what's going on.
I love it. Okay, that sounds good. So the next book after Dirty Wicked is book 12, which is Holding On Tighter, and that is coming out in February, so that's one to look out for. What can you tell fans about this one? What's happening? Do we have a little tease at the end of Dirty Wicked for it? Anything?
I think we did include actually an excerpt in Dirty Wicked for Holding On Tighter. And what I can tell you is Heath is my British bodyguard, and, he's kind of a really laid back, almost easy breezy in some ways. And he's got a fun little jabby sense of humor every once in a while. Like, I like spending time mentally with Heath. He's kind of funny and just fun to be with. But he's got that super alpha side. But Jolie, who's going to be a new heroine for everybody, is, for lack of a better word, she's a business owner. She's a go-getter. She's very ambitious. She's absolutely a ball buster. And I had so much fun writing their dialogue because she teases him early in the book about having his type, which is very much, young and dewy and doe-eyed and like needs him to help make decisions. And that is so not her. And he finally realizes it's kind of refreshing to have a woman who knows who she is and what she wants and doesn't need him to hold her hand every second of every day. And it's kind of a fun place to be in their heads where they're both going, okay, like, I sort of like this person. I actually really don't hate this person. Because that's not their first impression of each other. So it's fun for them it's very much a getting to know you kind of book. And of course it's a Wicked Lovers book. So there's always kinds of, danger and, there's definitely a big suspense element here. Plus the fact for longtime Wicked Lovers fans, there is an epilogue that you don't want to miss that will give you a very nice little rundown of almost everybody and where they are and what's going on, plus a tease of what's coming next.
Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. If there was a plug for it, you just got it.
It was actually one of the funnest parts of the whole book to write because it was great to just get to see everybody. There's also another scene in the book for the people who are longtime lovers of Callie, Shawn, and Thorpe. There's a scene in the middle of the book that's absolutely one of my favorites, and it's pivotal to the story. And if you like the trio, then you definitely want to read this.
Okay, that's exciting too. For you, do you just kind of take this series as it goes? Do you feel like it could go on forever? Do you have an end in mind? How are you tackling it, I guess, currently?
I've always, it was the series that was never meant to be a series. It was literally, I wrote Jack, and then I was like, oh, but Deke is so cool, and I should write a book about him. And then Luke walked into the picture, and I was like, oh God, y'all just know interesting people, and I'm just going to have to keep writing. So basically, that's how it's always been. And so, I got to where I thought, oh, maybe this is a good ending, but then I started introducing new people who I'm so interested myself in.
Mm-hmm.
So, now I have Cutter and 1 Mile and all of these people who work for Logan and Hunter and Joaquin that I'm so interested in. So there's going to be more coming. I don't know exactly in what form or fashion. I just signed for 2 more with Berkeley, so we're going to be having that conversation shortly.
Okay.
But I know that we're going to be talking specifically about Cutter and 1 Mile going forward. So more news on that soon.
Okay, that sounds great. For you, you recently also just released His Undeniable Secret in October, and that's actually a standalone title. What's going on with that book, and if fans haven't picked it up yet, what can they kind of look forward to?
So it's actually a charity project for one of my friends who also runs a blog called Once Upon an Alpha. It's actually a charity called For Paws for Ability, which gives service dogs to children and vets in need.
Okay.
So it's just a short story, and I'll be releasing it solo in January. But right now, it's in the Alphas of Sin anthology, which is only $2.99, and you get like 20 stories. You guys, really, and it's for a great cause. So it's actually my first foray into writing first person, and it's just a super short, steamy, quick. Kind of friends to lovers story, which is one of my favorite tropes. So, I just had a really good time with it. It's something that I've had on my hard drive for a while. It was one of those, I don't know what to do with it. And then when Shannon Hunt, who runs Once Upon an Alpha, asked me, hey, I have this anthology and would you be interested? And I was like, here's something I can do with this story that's been sitting on my hard drive. So I was actually really happy to be able to get it out to people and do something productive and helpful with it.
Definitely. That's fantastic. The next Sexy Capers book comes out shortly, actually November 15th, and it's called Arresting Desire. What's happening at this point in the series, and what can you tease for that book?
Well, actually, Arresting Desire it's just an electronic reissue of the novella that appeared in Hot in Handcuffs, which, so for the people who followed the Sexy Caper series, this is Nikki's sister, Lucia, and her kind of unrequited love for the FBI agent who was investigating her father for being a mafia figure. So, it's a couple years later, and, they're both a little older, and he's not actively working that case anymore, except there's ramifications still affecting his life and his brother's life, and so he has to come back to talk to Nikki and her sister, and things kind of take off from there. And one of my favorite parts of this whole book is they're having a birthday party for Lucia, and Nikki, of course, runs, a strip club, a male strip club. So all of Nikki's dancers are sort of dancing around Lucia, and she's giggly, and it's kind of funny, and they're feeding her drinks in the middle of the day. And John is so not amused. So not amused. So he has to ask her some questions about what she knows and, some things that her father may have left behind for her. And then at some point he just has enough and he picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, and then looks at everybody. Does anybody have any objections? Great. No. Bye. That's the end of the conversation as far as he's concerned. And I'm done.
That's great. So what about for you when you write? Do the stories kind of just come to you? Are they already kind of laid out when you sit down to write, or are you kind of how does your system work as far as picking the next story?
They're all different. I wish I could say I had a process, but that's not always the way it is. Some of them just are like this.
Right.
I have something that I want to write that I'm actually going to be writing next that I can't talk a lot about yet, but I'm super excited about, but I'll be talking about it soon. it's something that's been brewing for a while, and I tend to be kind of like a percolator. It takes me a while, and I think about it, and I think about it, and I think about it, and there's missing puzzle pieces, and I don't know what's going on, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, I got it. And then there are other things where it comes in like the whole thing is just there in my head. I don't always know why that is. I don't know. It's a strange little system that I can't really explain to anybody and have it make any sense whatsoever.
I'm sure.
It doesn't even make sense to me. And honestly, when I write, for instance, like the Doms of Her Life series that I write with Isabella LaPearl and Jenna Jacob, we have the weirdest, it's a whole nother process. Like we write and we stop and we trash everything. And then we write and stop and trash everything again. It takes us like 3 to 5 beginnings before we find what we really want to say.
Oh, interesting.
And then we move on, which I never do myself, but there's something about collaboration, I think, that just makes everything different.
Absolutely. Do you have any kind of advice for the first-time authors out there who are just starting out and aren't sure, like, how to do it or what the best first path is? Anything that really stands out to give them a little push?
I would say the thing that I think comes back to me again and again is the fact that people aren't buying your ability to string one word after another, because a lot of people can write a great coherent sentence. What they're really buying is your worldview and the way you look at people and relationships. And like, I was thinking about this today because I'm a big advocate of the fact I can't stand reading about perfect people. Mm-hmm. Like, absolutely, who make the right choice every time and never have a stupid moment and don't panic and do the wrong thing at the wrong moment because they have 0.2 seconds to make a decision. Mm-hmm. In real life, people learn from their mistakes. In real life, sometimes it takes them more than one mistake to learn. I mean, I'm a big advocate of having people, characters behaving more like people. Right. And so I get really frustrated when I see people who are like, well, I think, this person made a really stupid decision. Yes. Show me a person that in you or anyone in your life who's never made a stupid decision. Because I totally want to meet this paragon of virtue.
Absolutely.
We've all made some decisions and we've all regretted some decisions. So for me, I like to write about people who live like real people, mm-hmm. and then unlike a lot of actual people in your life, will actually learn something from what they, and the impact and the consequences. And sometimes you get people, you've seen them, them, who make the same mistakes over and over and over. Like, I know somebody who's been married 5 times, marries basically the same woman every single time, and they're always wrong for him. You can't tell him.
Right, of course.
So, okay, I would love to write about the man who finally learns from that mistake. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And it could be anything, but I just feel like I don't ever want to write about the people who always choose the best, most heroic path ever. Mm-hmm. I want to write about the people who are real people and have to learn something.
Absolutely. Definitely. So I wanted to ask you, because you do write in a couple of different genres. So do you have a favorite, or in which one did you kind of start out in?
I started with historicals because, I started writing I started writing in earnest in 1992. I published finally in 1998. And so what I found was over time, I wrote historicals. That was the genre of the moment, right?
Right.
And I actually minored in history. Like, I love history, but I just found that it wasn't, I love to read historicals more than I think that was suited to my voice. Okay. And so after my daughter was born and after my editor actually left the publisher I was with, I took a step back and asked myself, what do I really want? Mm-hmm. What stories are really resonating in my head? Because for so long I'd been contracted to write historicals, and I was like, well, what do I really want to do? So that's when I feel as if I started reading more contemporary and liking more contemporary, and I'll read everything from super sweet to super erotic as long as it has a good story. I'm not really picky beyond that. I still like paranormals. I still read historicals. Like, I'll read almost anything, to be honest. If it's a good story and characters I like with good pacing, then I'm probably cool with it. But for me to write, I seem to come back to contemporaries over and over again.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, we love you at it and love what you come out with. So I think it's working for you.
Thank you.
So you are super busy writing and you're always writing. I'm assuming that you have a very busy 2017. Is there anything that you can tease coming up that we haven't talked about yet for any fans out there?
Yeah, there's actually so many things coming up that I haven't even had a chance to announce yet. It's crazy pants. So, like I said, in January, I'll be releasing His Undeniable Secret as a standalone short electronically. Right. It's super short, so it'll probably be 99 cents. Then in February, I have Holding On Tighter, which is Wicked Lovers 11. Look for a surprise, and I can't say more than that, and I would love to, but look for a surprise sometime in April. Lexi Blake and I are talking about putting out Perfect Gentleman Book 4, which will be Smoke and Sin in probably May.
Okay.
I'd like to get something out in the summer, but I have to, we have to see how the holidays go. And then in October, probably toward the end of October, Jenna and Isabella and I, because, we finished Rain Falling collection of Doms of Her Life. So now we're going to be starting the Heavenly Rising collection. So I'm actually hoping that we're going to get, the covers are actually almost done. So I'd like to get the pre-orders and all that up as soon as I can. Everything's just crazy right now. I'm moving my website and it's just a whole thing. So definitely that. And then my 1001 for next year will be in November. Perfect. So yeah, I'm staying pretty busy right now.
Yes, you are. Well, more exciting. You kind of covered over it, but it sounds exciting. A new website to look forward to as well.
It's actually, I'm moving it from one platform to another.
Okay.
It's going to look a lot the same, but it's going to function a lot better. So if anybody has ever been to my website store to get personalized books and you've been like, oh my gosh, this shopping cart is awful, it's going to be so much better now, and I apologize. It was the shopping cart we could do at the time, but this one's going to be so much better. So if you're never not going to see me at a signing and you want a signed book, I have everything.
Oh, that's excellent. That's so great. I'm sure the fans will really be excited to hear that too. Unfortunately, we are out of time. That's how quickly it happens. But I can't thank you enough for joining us, Shayla. It really has been great talking to you. And we're all very excited about Dirty Wicked. So everyone should go grab a copy and download it and all of that fun stuff because it's great.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we will see you all again soon. Hopefully we'll get to talk again. I'm sure there's plenty of opportunities,
I'm sure.
It sounds like. All right, Shayla, thank you so much. And everyone have a great night. Bye.